Alyssa Gunderson. I am the full-time social worker at the Muskegon Public Defender's Office. I've been in my role officially for about 2.5 years, but I interned a full year prior. So when you're working with people, you can't really have a set schedule. You kind of have to go with how the day goes. But we do have specific tasks. So the role of our social workers in the office is to help promote this idea of holistic defense. And that was started in the 80s by the Bronx Defenders in New York. Back in 2016, my supervisor and our deputy director, Amanda Mateer, wrote a grant with her colleague, Chad Catalino, who is now the director in Allegan, to kind of get this thing rolling. And we just really realized as an office that the way traditional public defense was going, it was just lower quality. You know, people were coming in with these problems that weren't actually being solved, and so we just kept seeing them repeat. So the goal of the social worker is to address some of those what we call psychosocial issues, and that could be anything from mental health to substance abuse, homelessness, trauma. The spectrum is wide. So we are trained as social workers to assess needs and barriers and gaps and to try and fill those. So we serve a pretty traditional case management role, and we do advocacy in court reports as well to offer alternatives to incarceration. So on any given day, I could be meeting with clients face-to-face, I could be doing jail visits, I could be going to court to speak on the record, to advocate for an alternate decision rather than incarceration. You know, I think traditionally the courts have really leaned on the 12-step support groups, you know, like the NA and the AA. Well, that doesn't always work for people, and I think what we've failed to realize is that people need a place to feel comfortable sharing their story and to feel that empathy around them and that support and that love. And I don't want to speak for anyone, but just from my clients and my experience, that's what I've noted. For one of my clients in particular, he had just been struggling to find somewhere where he fit in. And, you know, I think that there was more deep down inside than just the surface level, you know, traditional substance abuse problems, like we say. He was really missing a sense of community. And I actually attended a class with him, and afterwards he was just like so grateful, and he participated. And before that, he was just telling me, he's like, I don't really want to speak, like this is kind of outside my element. But I just watched him blossom here, and you know, since then he said how supportive it's been. And I think like the 12-step groups serve their purpose, and I don't want to discredit them at all. It's just nice to come somewhere where you don't necessarily have an agenda and a rule book. You're just exploring yourself, you're exploring others, and you are in a safe space to let that growth occur. So funny story, I didn't actually want to do this job. I thought I was going to always work with kids. I thought I was going to work with kids who were on the autism spectrum doing that. And I got here and I just saw how unfair everything was, how unfair the criminal justice system is, how inhumanely our clients have been treated, and how misunderstood that they are. And I found that this particular area of social work is well needed, because I think for eons the criminal justice system has done a phenomenal job of making people feel like absolute dirt. And I say to my clients and to my interns and colleagues, crime does not happen in a bubble. Rarely. You know, there are bad people who do bad things, but very rarely is there just no excuse for what occurred. And it's that why that kept me coming back. You know, why is it that you decided to steal from this store? Why is it that these things are occurring? And when you hear things like, well, I'm 18 and I'm in charge of raising my whole family because my dad walked out and my mom, I don't know where she's been. It just takes you back, and it makes you realize that there are a lot of people in privileged positions working for the CJ system who don't have the education or the motivation to break down their own privilege to understand where the people in front of them are coming from. And I'm not trying to say that like lawyers and judges are ignorant, because I don't think they are. I think there are a lot of really wonderful socially aware people, but it takes a certain skill set to really break down the why. Anyone could be put in the shoes of some of my clients at one point. All it takes is losing a job, losing a family member. And I would encourage people to look at those who are involved in the criminal justice system as humans who have very human behavior. And I don't necessarily think that my clients intentionally want to do things that are labeled bad or criminal. I think they're struggling. And I think that society needs to pay more attention to where our budgets are being allocated. I think society needs to pay a better attention to their community and where their community needs are, because a lot of the times the problems I'm seeing my clients go through are problems that we could take care of if we as a society did better. And so I think that that is my overall opinion on it. It's not necessarily the individual that should be accused, pointed at, examined. I think that it needs to be the community and something bigger. And, you know, just put yourself in those shoes. Like, what if that was your kid? What if that was your brother? What if that was you? You know, how would you want to be treated? When I see a client and they say, thank you for listening to me. Like it's the first time that someone's ever just sat down and said, like, tell me your story. That's what keeps me coming back. And we get these small wins where maybe a judge is learning that an outpatient recommendation is way more useful and efficient than an inpatient, or a client who has been trying so hard to just find a mode of transportation to the grocery store, and we give them, you know, free bus passes, and watching them get to move forward with their life and do wonderful things and achieve their goals. Those have been wins. Like when I'm out in the community and I see someone finally doing what they want to do, and I can give them a hug and say, like, way to make it through. Way to get through one of the hardest points in your life.
I caught your fire.